Good morning. Good to be here with you again this beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning. I mean, the month of November is quickly running to a close, and it's the 19th of November 2020. Coincidentally, it's my brother's birthday today. So I think I should be doing some cake, but unfortunately, he's not allowed to give me cake. But I'm sure that if I cry enough, Tessie will buy me breakfast. So,
actually, I thought you were about saying, fortunately enough, it's your mom's birthday. I wanted to say,
how many birthdays in the year?
No, I wanted to ask you that. I don't understand.
How many birthdays in the year?
Because since the world is changing, maybe birthdays to you is changing.
It's my brother's birthday. It's my brother's birthday. I did Damola the Toba. Had another year today. He's one of my biggest fans in this whole world. I'm sure that even though he's not in the country, he's always watching the bumper breakfast to say, sis, I don't like that thing you're wearing. No, remove this one. No. You know, but the fantastic young man he is. But it's all about the bumper breakfast today, and of course Tessie is here with us, looking all ready and yellow. So she's doing I don't know, she's pink and red today. Good morning, Tess.
Good morning.
Why are you wearing pink lipstick anyway?
Is it pink?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, when it comes to makeup, it's zero thing for me. It's zero for me. So I blended some colors together.
I needed to get that far. A lot of people may not know that Tessie is really terrible when it comes to, oh God.
When it comes to makeup, it's a zero thing for me. I don't know. I've been trying.
So some of us know how to apply powder. We know how to apply lipstick, but some people,
no, it's a no thing. Like
they know how to apply lipstick. The only thing in the world that they can apply correctly is lipstick. But today you are blending. I mean,
no, actually, I did nude and red.
So you came to pink now. You came to pink.
So I got pink. I don't even know it's pink. It's not that you're telling me now that I know it's pink.
Hey, God will definitely deliver me from Tessie. But of course, on the bumper breakfast on a typical Thursday like this, we usually have Mr. Aki Fatuke on the show with us. And Mr. Fatuke, I like to talk about him a lot. He's a communication specialist. He is an economist. He's somebody who likes accounting. He's somebody who likes Nigeria. And he's Nigeria for life. You know when we say Nigeria for life, Nigeria for life. Good morning, Mr. Fatuke.
Good morning, Tomisi. Good morning, Tessie. Good morning, Nigerians. I'm happy to be here. Let's just keeping safe, so that the smiles can just continue.
And I love the fact that you're not doing the Filai or Filai, this morning you're just doing the round cap.
Yeah, I just.
What's this cap from?
Yeah, this cap is from the north.
Okay.
I schooled in the north. I'm an alumnus of the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. And,
so you can speak Hausa?
Kada, little by little. And so I'm saying to my other brothers here and there, it's nice to be here. Please, let's keep safe and let's keep the spirit of Nigeria moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Yes, I'll take a look at the papers this morning, which is where we start the bumper breakfast from. And you want to bear the cat? Want me to bear the cat? All right, I'll take a look at the Guardian newspaper first of all, and interesting stories. I'm going to pick the ones that are most interesting to me. Anger as the federal government eyes 200 billion naira idle funds. Shareholders kick over unclaimed dividends. Government has no business with fund. Economists, security experts warn. Reps worry over rising unclaimed dividends. And Labour in dilemma over tariff hikes. Agitators push for 120 naira per litre of fuel. Threaten to shut down the oil production in 11 days. NNPC takes over pricing and confusion in the PPPRA. Now, the Supreme Court upholds the decision of Diri selection, and Obaseki hails the verdict. As court issues arrest warrant against Maina over alleged 2 billion naira fraud. PDP asked Fashola to explain role in alleged 4.6 billion fraud. FEC new finance bill rules out increase in taxes, and federalism is the answer after all. Tessie. Oh my. I'm really, 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 really interested in the story that has to do with the fuel, and I'm sure that Mr. Fatoke is as well. I think we've done the back and forth, the regulation of the regulation and all that, price of crude oil, price of... Now, some agitators are pushing to have PMS sold at 120 naira per litre. Isn't that saying we're going back to the days of dirty regulation?
Oh, well, freedom of speech, and people can come and say whatever it is that catches their fancy. I have often, on that subject, looked at Nigeria as comedian rulers and jester followers. It has to be real jesting for anybody to now decide now that they want to just arbitrarily set the price of PMS at 120 naira per litre, and I can stretch that just a bit further. Why 120? Why not 1 naira? After all, the oil resides with us in the South region and can be piped if we get all our acts together. Again, I see situations where people just want to become relevant, and people catch on our cold because we are in a cold situation, catarrh, cold, cough, all put together. And somebody now then just comes and say, yeah, this is what I want
Let
to
me
do.
further complicate this person's sickness.
Well, they are taking a cue from what has happened before. My dear friend and brother Adams Oshiomhole used to be the Labour leader, and he had made the pronouncement, never, that the price increase beyond a particular level will go on. And people were saying, oh yeah, that is the man. He had a strategy. The strategy was to gain attention. He got attention and got eight times. He became governor of the Edo State, and he started singing a different tune. And when he was asked, he said, hey, when you are the pilot, you see more than the passengers and the crew were heading in the wrong direction. And if we kept on going in that wrong direction, it's going to crash. Economic federalism looks at that industry and is saying, if we do not do what we need to do, we've done it up to maybe 3/4 now so far. We've not done it the whole hog. We still do it in bits and starts. If we don't do it the way we are going, yes, a lot of chunk of the money that we've had has been stolen. Trillions is gone into wrong pockets. Trillions that ought to have been plowed back.
I mean, you're talking about the subsidy now.
Oh, yes, because that's exactly what
That's what they are recommending indirectly.
Oh, well, they could recommend. I've just told them, why 120? Why not zero? After all, why not zero? You could.
We own the oil.
I could come and tell you, why should it not be 5 naira?
5 naira.
Well, after all, I feel good. It's a feel good feeling. But this is where you have to now separate the men from the boys. This is where, as the head of the family, as the breadwinner of the family, you know where things are pinching, and you know that unless you decide to steal, you cannot put food on the table of the family. What do? You cut your coat according to
the materials available,
and then you begin to think outside the box. Economists will tell you that even if you have factors of production that is free to you, like Tessie's Beauty, for instance. Tessie's Beauty, she brought it from heaven and all that. But she knows, as she's sitting in front of me, that freedom or that gift that has been given to God by her, if not properly harnessed, will turn into ugliness, even to her. It will begin to hurt her if she does not do the right thing. So I'm saying, we have the oil, we have the crude, over times, trillions. I played in that in that industry for close to 30 years. And we have been saying that needs to be deregulated, full deregulation. What we now have is we still have NNPCs bringing in the product because other players are not prepared to come in because of risks. And they bring in the products and they use the PRA template, which those who are clamoring should please go have a look at their website. In that website, it tells you that the plat, that is the cost of crude selling in international market, is so and so amount of dollars. If you multiply that by the exchange rate, does it come to 120 naira? Let's start from there. Now then, of course, naturally, the crude has to be processed, has to be brought in, has to bring in logistics. The marketers have to take their bit. The transporters have to do their bit. It comes to the MPA jetty, and it has to go on. Quite a number of bad economics, like Tessie's bad beauty, a beauty that was born with her, but she has mismanaged it over time. It's exactly the same with what government has done. Over time, we've built refineries, we've not really maintained them the way they should be maintained. Government has no business in business. So whether it is refineries, whether it's the airlines, whether the shipping lines, everything government had put their hands in had gone downhill. So they started with telecommunications. We did a lot of successes in telecommunications. When telecommunications came in and then the SIM card was going to 50,000 naira, today SIM cards are just being thrown at you because competition has come in. When the ships bring in the products, because we have not invested in the ports, those big ships, given the fact that our consumption is to a particular country, they have to stay out there.
And
then we get lightning vessels
to go
out there
and
bring them.
That's another cost.
Like Tessie, it is ours. It's beautiful. But have we managed that beauty? Have we managed that factor of production that has come to us, that we found ourselves? So all those costs come in. When they now then come in with all the inefficiencies, without them saying, Tessie stays where? Kuala Namoda. I stay in Lagos. And you say, Tessie is going to buy the same product at the same price as I buy. Is that feasible? Because you've introduced something that you call PEF, Petroleum Ecological Fund, another avenue for a lot of corruption. So what I do, I will say, Tessie, I'm going to send this to you. Rather than send it to Tessie, I will take that product outside the country where I know the prices are right.
And the prices are higher, and I can make maximum profit.
Make my profit, I'll make my money. Then I will say, oh, well, I took it to Tessie. And you begin to ask questions, no, hey, wait a minute. Is it possible for you to keep your mouth shut? And you say, no, I can't do it. And of course, I have enough money to compromise you and so many other people along the chain. Have you seen how the beauty that is ours is now being compromised? And then a few people now then go smiling
to the bands,
while our hospitals continue to be unsmiling, while our security forces remain unsmiling, while on the SDG goal, 17 of them, we are nearly showing red on
each of them.
Education is going down, and then we find ourselves where we are at now. So I have my reasons for saying people want to do jesting and gisting. After all, Tessie that stays in Kuala Namoda, like I said, if she's going to send yams to me in Lagos, it's not going to be the price that is going to sell the yam in Kuala Namoda that you ask me to sell it here.
It's like exporting it, so the price needs to be higher. That's it.
We need to tell ourselves the truth, but when you read that, of course everybody is happy. Oh yeah.
Me, I always
we
like
begin to make a lot of excuses while our children yet unborn are going to come out to the world.
Because like you said, we've robbed Peter to satisfy Paul
satisfy
today. So
Paul.
we've robbed generations that are yet to come.
And then they will come and they will ask questions. And they will say, where is the grave of my forebears? What are you doing? And then you see them go to the grave and do the wrong thing at the grave and curse it. So for our tomorrow, we have to take care of our today. We have to take the pains. We have to take the pains and teach ourselves that it's not free. Beauty is not absolute. Freedom cannot be absolute. It has to come with control. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Patrick, I like to always get something clear before we jump to another topic. The way forward for this is the regulation. Is that what you're saying?
The way forward in where we have found ourselves is full deregulation. There is deregulation,
And there is
and
full.
government will always tell you there is deregulation. It has to be full deregulation. Let me explain it. Just with the example of yam. You stay in Kwara Namoda. You went to the farm. You were able to harvest 20, 30, 40, 50 yams. Okay? And you must sell them. If you are going to be selling them within your enclave, how much will you be selling them? Demand and supply, naturally.
Naturally.
Okay, all right. So you decide that, oh, it's cheap for me. I want to quickly get it out. I don't want the yam to get spoiled. I will sell it for 500 naira. You get a few buyers. Then you begin to think like a businesswoman. Okay, my people here, why don't I just send the yams to Lagos? Because we have more people that want to consume it. And you know what? Let me send the yams to Lagos. Not only is it that I'll send the yams to Lagos, create jobs, create so many things for other people and satisfy needs, but will you send it to Lagos at 500 naira?
Obviously not. Cost of transportation to Lagos would have
You are going
increased
to
the
put
cost.
cost of transportation. You are going to put the cost of Egunje. You know what Egunje is? In between.
In
and all
between,
that. Okay, the cost of this, cost of that, and all that kind of. So, you are likely to want to send it to Lagos. In fact, you must have to send it to Lagos
Maybe I
at
Maybe 5,000.
2,000,
1,000.
1,000,
1,000, yeah.
as the case might be. All right?
Yeah.
And the people in Lagos will be ready to buy
Buy
it
it, yeah.
because they need it.
They need it, yeah.
But what if I don't say, no, you can't send it to Lagos at 2,000, that will be 500 naira. What will happen? Just tell me.
I won't do it.
You can't do it.
I will not do it.
Okay, it's not possible for you to do it. That's just the point.
Yeah.
You can't send it to me in Lagos at 500
500
naira
naira, no.
because you have to put in the other intervenants. So which means you can't send to Lagos. Worst case scenario, what is most likely to happen if I force that price on you, it's okay. The people in Kwara Namoda, but maybe I sell it at no cost, which is what these guys are asking for. I sell it for 1 naira or sell it for 2 naira, and I become a Father Christmas. And for how long will you continue to be a Father Christmas after you have spread? You will be in business.
So your sweat definitely will go down the
So
drain.
the point is that economics is real. You must put so many things in between. What government could do, what government used to do, is that to try and bring efficiencies into it. 500 naira in Kwara Namoda, 3,000 naira in Lagos.
Lagos.
If we had an efficient transport system, we had rail system at one point in time.
You should make this transportation seamless, easier.
Seamless, more efficient, and we can plan our inventory over a period of time. We can end up just selling
less
at
prone to accidents.
1,000 naira. But the fact, the people, the elements who profit from these inefficiencies, I've just told you that there's a lot of money that goes in there. Would rather, yes, I don't give a damn. I will not allow the road to work well. I would rather want to use the trucks. The trucks will spoil the road, and then down the line we'll say our roads are bad. Things are not working well. So it's got to be a real political will. I understand, and I've spoken to you economics. I also understand there's an element of economics that is called welfare. Welfare is fair to all. So my thinking as a politician as a political juggernaut will be how over time, say for instance, I borrow money to make sure that I plow it into some infrastructures that down the line will make life easy for everybody. And the loan that I have taken, I have booked it appropriately. I've accounted for it. None of it is going into private pockets. None of it. And if it goes into any private pocket, you are caught. You are caught, jailed, and shown example. Now, I put it into infrastructures that economics will now then come back and say, hey, what is the payback? What is the joy factor? How is it able that Tessie in Kwara Namuda has been able to do this business, not only send her children and give her children decent education wherever she is. I'm also happy that, yes, I can consume at a fair price, save enough money to take care of my health, and in 2, 3, 4 years' time, that loan is repaid and it continues to replicate itself. In simplistic terms, what I've described is the way it should go. But
let me continue.
It's not the way it goes because of the big C. You know what the big C is?
The corruption.
Corruption. Yeah.
But let me quickly ask a question, Mr. Fasuke, here. You mentioned the loans, and I'd like us to address the elephant in the room. A lot of people keep having this preconception that Nigeria is rich. We have money, we have this, we have that. And the federal government keeps coming to say, we don't have money. We need to borrow. We're borrowing for power, we're borrowing for rail, we're borrowing for road, we're borrowing for housing projects, borrowing for all the infrastructure. In fact, almost every infrastructure that we're embarking on right now is on borrowed funds. So how then do we reconcile? We have money.
Then why are we borrowing? If we have money, why are we borrowing?
Simple explanation. Don't listen. Now let's bring it to.
Do we have money?
Yes and no.
Ask.
Yes and no.
Yes and no, okay.
So if you have 500 naira and I expect 500 naira to be in your pocket because I gave it to you and I expect 500 to be in your pocket, and consistently, and I say, where is the 500 naira I put in your pocket? And all you show me is 50 naira. I must begin to now question. You are profligate. You are a lot. I shouldn't use that in you. You are lying to me. Why cannot I give you 500 naira?
I make 500 naira at the end of the day.
Well, if I'm not going to pay 500 naira, can you explain to me what you have done
With the 500.
You might as well have done great things with the 500 naira.
Yeah.
I gave you 500 naira in the morning before you came back in the evening, Mr. Economist. I saw bulk purchasing and I was able to buy 200 naira worth of essentials at a relatively cheap price, and I brought it. I don't believe you. Why don't you believe me? Open the store and I see them. Oh, okay. You didn't take my permission, but I think you are wise. You have managed. So I'm happy because I know I won't have to spend on those essentials next month. In fact, you have saved me a lot. But when I ask you, and you told me that you have spent the money on Tessie's lipstick, lipstick that, by her admission, she just told us here that she does a lot of red and yellow and whatever it is and stuff like that. Really, that pleases her. She has a reason for it. Only God knows why she's doing that. She might begin to do that and do local content and say, why do I need to? But that's by the way. And you give it to Tessie. How does that put food? How does that feed my children? You are becoming profligate. You are becoming, your priorities is not right. No matter what Tessie tells you, no matter how she has convinced you that what she's doing, she's going to bring a lot of money back, I can't see it now. That is the story of Nigeria. Now, I just told you that trillions have been stolen. I told you about this in between.
Yeah. Even snakes stole some.
Yes.
If we do not account for what we have, we will not be able to measure success or efficiencies. So Nigeria has not been able to capture, and there's a lot of smuggling, there's a lot of leakages. That 500 naira I gave you, in all fairness, you actually put it in your pocket. If your pocket is leaking, even you don't even know that maybe the 500 naira just
fell. And
so what should you really do? So wherever it's leaking, so that you be able to now face me and say, yeah, you gave me 500 naira, you know, like the parable said, you gave me 500 naira,
And I was able to
didn't
do
hide
this
it,
with it.
and I've been able to multiply it. I'm not going to give you 2,000 naira because I now can trust you. The trust deficit in Nigeria is now nil. Look at her cost of governance. Tessie, she has a personal assistant, she has a cook, her cook will have a personal assistant, the personal assistant to her cook will have an
special
advisor in a situation where all we just have to do
managing
is 500. Do you think Tessie and I
don't you think the
will be
argument is
looking
that
at
Test is
things,
creating jobs?
creating jobs?
That's what they say.
Okay.
Test is creating jobs.
I agree. Job for what? And what is the contribution of that job into the national pot?
How many advisors do we even really need anyway?
And what? So if somebody advises Tessie, that Tessie, you woke up today, the reason why you woke up, I'm going to advise you, you know, I mean,
No, but let me ask a very typical
you know,
question.
I'm
Mr.
going to advise you that tomorrow you will not wake up again. Those are the kind of advisors that,
Okay.
how does that contribute to,
Let me ask a very typical question.
yes,
Mr. Tony Lumelu, the chairman of VBA,
here's holding,
here's Alden,
yeah,
owns a conglomerate,
yes,
gives out grants of about $5,000
Yes.
to young people, about
Yes.
5,000 in Africa
yes,
every year.
yes.
How many PAs does he really have? How many advisors does he really have?
How many
That's not his
PAs?
personal life. Are you sure
And
we can
how many-
get the actual PAs?
How many?
I'm just trying to see, because I just imagine him going for a meeting and then going with the team.
He has a limited number of advisors because that's how it is done in private sector. That is how businesses are run. Go and look at businesses that are over 100, 200, you know, including succession plan, apart from the environmental
Yes.
brouhaha that we have.
Yeah.
People who are able to navigate and manage are the ones that are going to stand the test of time.
Sure.
Tony Elumelu may be chairman of Here's Holding, but I'll be chairman of UBA. But he has to report to shareholders exactly what I've just told you. I gave you 500 naira to Messi, and I begin to hear stories. Either the thing is falling out of your pocket because of leakage, either you've decided on your own to go and do Baba Jebu, or you decide to go to Tessie in her business to mix because she's told you. Yes, she's told you. And how does Tessie operate? An assistant to an assistant to an assistant and an assistant that is not bringing anything in. At the end of the day, whatever it is that the little money we've had is wasted within 6 months or a year. That does not happen in the private sector. You have to go in front of your shareholders to go and say, this is how I did, this is what I did. You don't have that in the public sector. The accounts are not even audited. Professor Ben Akabweze came out and told the whole world and told all of us that over 400 MDAs will not be able to pay the 30,000 naira per month. Why? You don't have enough money. You don't have enough generating capacity. And in any case, our science report has come out clearly that we have in excess of requirement because politicians just use all these MDAs and just throw in money. And what do those MDAs do? Like you, not you, but you. You've taken the 500 naira and then you just look at it. Nobody's going to ask me questions. When I get home, I will tell Mr. Fatunke that, you know, my purse is leaking. Ah, your purse is leaking.
Snake stole the money.
Snake or
Swallow.
monkeys
Monkeys.
swallow the money, and that is the end of the story. See what is happening in NDTC?
Yeah,
The
we have to
growth?
borrow.
Are you looking? So, because of all those leakages,
We're broke.
You still have to, because you've not been able to do the leakages. That does not stop the fact that your infrastructures are going under. That does not stop the fact that COVID-19 came and people are going to be dying and all that. So you look for, the money has been stolen, then you decide that, well, let me go and borrow. Even what you decide to borrow, how efficient is your borrowing? People talk about, loan to GDP ratio, yes, you can buy, you can do this. But what about your capacity to repay? In the private sector, Tony Elumelu will do all the T's and dotting the I's because all those loans, all those grants is given to young people. They are not just given so that they can just go and like trader money or whatever it is that you cannot account for. Tessie, you are the one I'm giving the thing to. You have everything, you've dotted all the I's, and within 1 or 2 months, can we see impact assessment of what you've done? It's done. We don't have that being done in the public sector. So we keep on borrowing and borrowing down the hole. Hopefully, things are changing now. Should be changing now. Should have changed maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. Changing in gradual,
very slow speed.
That slow speed, unfortunately, is at a velocity where our population growth is 3% per annum. Our growth rate is getting to minus. Do you understand what I'm saying? So rather than the power that I gave you, I don't even have any money to give you. You look at me and I look at you, we smile at ourselves.
But there's no money.
But you have to go out.
Mr. Fatuke, your analogy this morning.
No, I love it. I love the everything, so you can understand.
So the people at home can really understand where we're coming from. The long and short of the matter is Nigeria is broke. And broke. No, but the long and short of the matter is we borrow to finance our budget, especially when it comes to infrastructure. And when I keep hearing people say, is there a lie? We have money. And I keep asking them,
if we have money, why? If there is money, they don't need to borrow.
No, but if we have money, why are we borrowing for things that are important to us?
Serious.
I mean, we want the real.
Yeah, because the little money we have misused it. We decided, for instance, that we are not going to fund education.
And we have a new budget that is not
beyond 3%. And yet we decided, and we all clap to it. And I always see Tessie always clapping to it. Sometimes in my dream, I see her in my dream. She's always clapping to it. That the National Assembly will get about 128 billion when our students are roaming on the street. And our church people, and most people, everybody, honorable, self-honorable, now decides that they are going to take a humongous amount of money in terms of salaries, in terms of allowances, when people are not being paid.
Mr. Fatuke, let me go. Before I move to Tessie's Nation newspaper this morning, I just dropped this as a rhetorical question. We keep talking about cutting down cost of governance and reducing our cost of governance. Unfortunately, I do not hear reduced cost of governance from the Assembly. They talk about every issue. I mean, they're talking about funding education more now. I mean, they're talking about the health sector. They're talking more about ASU strike, and federal government must, attend to. But nobody's championing the cause to say, you know what? How do we cut down from our end? But don't answer the question.
Actually, that was part of the things the youth raised during the hashtag NSS protest. I think that was among their 505 demand from the government that it should reduce the cost of government.
The reason why that is not, she doesn't want to answer it, but yes, I won't answer it. I will only just say this. The reason why that is happening is because it's the nature of man and woman, naturally, that you will naturally be selfish towards yourself. And if something does not shake you, if a revolution does not shake you, as is happening in the French Revolution, Marie Antoinette, the Queen Mother,
yes,
was, She saw people, the crowd out there at the Bastille, and she just said, why are these people, why are these people making a lot of noise? What is it? And then the minister, they said they don't have bread. No, remember her comment? So innocent. If they don't have bread, oh, come on, poor people, go in there, go and give them cake. That's sums that they are so far gone in their profligacy, they don't even feel that you are suffering. The only thing that can now then come is for a force. I'm not talking about revolution now, but a force from citizens to say, hey, never again. We'll be talking about this humongous pay to our National Assembly people, cost of governance. Even President Buhari has signed executive orders to tell you how bad things have gone. Executive orders that we are going to reduce the bureaucracies. Go to the port. The custom will do their own, the immigration will do their own, this one will do their own, and all that. And on each of those places, something is going on. He signed an executive order that, look, go and ask Mrs. Bala Mohammed, MP Managing Director.
Yeah.
She will be the one to tell you that, yeah, it's been signed. But despite all that, the execution of it, people are just not wanting to listen. Mr. President has given an order that some people should be freed as we speak. Some of these NSAS protesters
Are still in court.
So it's a whole lot of confusion. We citizens will now rise up.
Obey our president.
It is not going to. It's not going to happen. The power of recall. Our National Assembly members, our State Assembly members, our local government chairmen. You are not going to go in there because we are going to, not by holding guns and cutlasses, but by engaging. I engaged my local government chairman. Before I saw him, it was like trying to go through hell. I didn't mind. I kept on going and coming on one particular occasion. I sat down, and then he got that, who is this particular person? Eventually, he got me in.
Yeah.
When I got in, this is what I want. Oh, I thought you wanted something for yourself. Well, I thank God I am not hungry, that I will need anything from you. But the roads are bad. The armed robbers are attacking. This was long before COVID. The armed robbers are all attacking us. I want to see, and I know that government has deregulated, devolved a lot of money coming straight to you.
To you, yes.
The money you got last month, I don't even want to think about it. But how did you spend it? He sat me down. I was shocked.
As to how much you got?
I had an idea of how much he got, but I was shocked about how he spent the money. I said, that's me. Before I got my second term, I have to see the KBC, I have to see the politicians, I have to, okay. So, the job that I need to do, I do not require more than 2 or 3 people. On that same one job, I have politicians and jobbers have come in, they are over 1,000. Doing absolutely nothing.
Okay. Tessie, you need to go to. Oh, no, I think I should go to the Punch so that I can leave you to do the Nation and the Nigerian Tribune. Yes, interesting stories. The Punch newspaper this morning. Bandits demand 100 million naira for 6 ASPs in Katsina kidnappers' den. One policeman escapes with bullet wounds. Victims' families raise 0.5 million each. That's just 500,000 naira each. Southeast transporters threaten boycott of Lagos. North routes over robberies. Others. Makinde inaugurates Amotekun, confident on state police. 2 billion naira laundering. Court orders Mina's arrest. Ndume denies suspects' whereabouts. The appeal court orders Ondo Assembly to reinstate suspended lawmakers. Robbers kill Oyo commissioner's brother. Man beheads his friend. 150 vehicles, 131 motorcycles, impounded drivers prosecuted in Lagos. Gunmen kill 35-year-old Poli HOD in Ogun. Man locks up wife for 4 years, impregnates her twice.
Tobisin.
Man, what? Please come again.
Locks up his wife for 4 years and impregnates her 3 times in the process.
Tobisin. I was counting while you were reading.
The bad stories.
I counted up to about 6 stories. I was just waiting that, okay, we are going to get at least one.
One light. I've not got it. I'll get to
Light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, 11 killed, others 11 killed, others injured in Kwara Kano road crashes. Okay,
Is that a good one too?
I'm looking for a good one.
Okay.
APC chiefs receive Umahi. Wike says another PDP governor defecting.
Is that good news?
We've paid 101,567 survivor fund beneficiaries. Federal government is done.
Who are the beneficiaries?
2021 budget report ready on December 3rd. That's open from the Senate.
Okay.
69.4 billion naira debt. AMCON seizes Jimo Ibrahim's property and freezes his accounts. A rep squeeze firm for insuring immigration's grounded aircraft. It's about to get okay. Naira weakens for that dollars. Okay.
Naira what?
When you are in a state, when you're in a state of flux,
I was looking
when
for
you
good stories.
cannot meet your obligations as at when due, when you are married and you have children and you cannot feed them, when you run away from your responsibility as a man and as a woman, you have children and you are just doing different things around, cavorting to the extent of spoiling your family brand and name. In the private sector, you say you've gone bankrupt. And when you go bankrupt and you have 10 million out of school children roaming the streets, students cannot go into the universities because they are on strike for about 8 years. We have spoken about the fact that we have limited amount of money, but it's wasted in a profligate manner. You are what you call bankrupt. When you are bankrupt, so many kind of stories like you had, like you read out from the Punch this morning, will be the order of the day. But where you bring efficiency, where communication flows, where we have leadership by example, where we are able to promote the fact that yes, industry pays, and not that you can short circuit the system by saying that you are an agbero or you are somebody who has killed so many people, and then we still find you in the hollow chambers of our assemblies and nothing is done, nothing comes out of it. When situations arise, our creative youths are saying, no, never again. We can do this, we can do that, we can put things together. And they've been able to demonstrate to you in 2-3 weeks things that a whole country has not been able to do in 20, 25, 30 years. These children that we managed to educate have been able to show it to us, and we were magnanimous to say yes, 5 for 5, we have accepted it, only for us to wake up the following day, to be tracking them down, to be putting learn and not communicating. If there's a reason why this is so, it should be clear and communicated. But things are done in so much secrecy and shroudiness. What you are going to have is confusion. And when you have confusion, you have all these things that you read. But I heard about a young lady.
Yes.
Her name is Matthew, Sylvia Matthew in Plateau State. A young lady. She came out with A1 in 9 subjects. A1 in 9 subjects in Plateau State. She took a photo ops with Governor Lalong. That is fair. We had a counterpart of us at the University of Lagos. He had the highest GDP ever in the history of the University of Lagos. First class and what have you. 2 years after, that guy was carrying newspaper at lecturers' places. Therefore, do we say we have a vision, we have a mission, and we have values in such a country? I'm afraid. Thank God we didn't read out of that a pregnant woman was was raped and all that.
No.
God help Nigeria.
Oh my. I was really spotting for good news, and I was trying as much as possible to search, begin my search. But it looks as if the Punch newspaper this morning just went after all of the stories that are likely to just bring tears to people's eyes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Stories that are likely to just bring tears into our eyes.
For right thinking people, it should bring tears to us, because we have bred. We hear that unemployment, both shadow unemployment and real unemployment, is 55%. That means if the youth population of the 200 million plus is, say, about 70 to 75, 80%, more than half of our youths, with all their energies, are gainfully unemployed, are gainfully doing the wrong thing, are gainfully make acceleration backwards. What do you therefore expect? And then we have the elite and the political class behaving like Nero, fiddling when Rome and Nigeria is burning. It calls for attention, like you said. We must begin to cry. The youth are already crying, and we should all come back together and do a proper restructuring of our minds, of our economy, of our federation, so that Nigeria can grow, Nigeria can live. The ACFA thing, France did not want Nigeria. Quite a number of colonial masters, they see the potentials, they see it. But what they don't see is administration. If you allow Nigeria to get it, and when Nigeria is gotten right, you know what I'm talking about. So, Missy, just look at yourself as an example of what you have had to go through in life and where you are today. Many Nigerians have such potential. Go to computer village. Go and see the creative ingenuity of Nigerians. But all is coming to naught, basically because we have not gotten our priorities right.
As a people.
As a people, we have not decided that enough is enough. Enough of the bloodshed. To that extent, like they say in physics,
Yes.
work done zero.
Well, before I take this a very quick break, let's say congratulations. Of course, I must look for good news. I really need to look for good news. I must say congratulations.
Reason you
to
want to
the
announce it
official-
because you think I don't know you.
I said for good news so much. But the only Queen Shilepola had a baby yesterday. A baby boy. So I want to say congratulations to the Oni of Ife, Obadiah Yogowosi Ojaja II, on the birth of this baby. Of course, we hope that birth of babies bring good news, bring good tidings, bring loads and loads of joy to the family and to the community and to the state and of course to the nation. So we have a new prince in Ife, and of course as Yoruba people, as Nigerians, we must celebrate the birth of
We celebrate that. There's also a lesson. The Oni and his queen have had to go through the valleys of the shadows of death. So many bad mouthing. So many things have happened to them. They stayed the course. It's a message to our youths. Yes, we are feeling the pains. Oh, we are not. Yeah, we are feeling the pains. But when we do the surulere, when we do the patience and we apply our brains, things naturally will happen the way
they were ordered.
They were ordered. I also join you to celebrate
Our new prince.
our new prince. Ọlọ́run á wò, as they say. The Lord God will really take care of the child.
I found this.
I congratulate the queen. Shileola.
Yeah.
Remember Shileola was a subject of so many people say, you are this, you are that, but she kept her cool.
Always smiling.
At the end of the day,
Very serious faced.
Patience pays.
Yes, I love that. I love what you
Patience
said.
pays.
Patience pays, yeah. And you know she's from my town, actually.
Are we doing the Ondo Parakoti now?
She's from my town.
Let's take this very quick break. Tessie takes over from me right after now. And of course, it's still the bumper breakfast. Don't forget, we're still looking at the stories in the dailies today, like we always do every Thursday. And of course, there's a story on Community Report that we'll be taking a look at today. Okada riders have been attacking policemen. You know, there is this fracas between both parties that has taken place on the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. And for some reason, I just wonder, yesterday I saw some soldiers on the road, you know, while I was driving, let me share the story with you. While I was driving to the office yesterday evening, everybody was, you know, everywhere. Their heads were not in the right place. So we were driving, people were driving, everybody was coming in from here, blocking
Why?
the road. No, they're just driving anyhow, as usual. Nigerians, when you see traffic, everybody just wants to, you know, the way they say chook head, everybody wants to chook head, you know, inside. So there was
Gaussians.
no, the
Gaussians.
you know, and there was no order, no, nothing at all like order. Now, when we got there, I felt like, what is wrong with us as a people? People were taking one way, they were taking two way, they were taking all of that. You know, let's come right back to the studio first and let's talk about this the topic. Now, as much as you know, I was driving and I was finding it very difficult to understand how our people, you know, kept driving. I found it really difficult to understand or to imagine what will happen, you know, when I come back to that same part of the road. Let me explain first of all. What we're watching on the screen is exactly what happened at the Ikeja along axis of Lagos State yesterday, the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway yesterday. But we'll take a look at that video much later on the show so that Teresa can take a proper look at it. Yes, so back to my story. I was not going back. The moment I hit Nuruddin Oluwopopo, there was traffic already. So I made a U-turn and I said, okay, let me go through Aginibe, go to Mobile, buy fuel, and then come back. And I was still going. Up to Mara Gardens, there was traffic. In fact, we had to do a one-way to be able to just go through Mobile. Then we got to Mobile. By the time I came back to the same spot, everything was clear. I spent 5 minutes in Mobile, and then I came back to the same spot. So the traffic was up to, like, the traffic lights here on Nuruddin. Then I blocked all to the way to Abiola Garden just behind us.
Okay.
Imagine the traffic. Now, when we got back there 5 minutes later,
The road is
the
free.
road was free. All the
Why?
way.
What happened?
The road was free all the way to Alexander House just before we descended. And I saw that people were now packed and waiting. You know, there was now order.
Okay.
There was order. People were properly arranged and aligned. We were not blocking the people who were going back to Ikeja. We were just normal. Lo and behold, Kayode is right here with me because we're in the car together. I moved forward a bit. Lo and behold, who did I see? Soldier. Kayode just caught my attention and said, "That's a soldier there. It's Nigerian army there." And I saw one person. It was one person. Mr. Vasquez, just one person. He had a bankada on one hand, and he had his gun at his back. He was wearing just a t-shirt and the army camo. And he was there. He was standing in the middle of the road. It was so orderly.
Wow.
People stopped here. He passed those ones, and then when that one, he passed us. When we got to descended the Tedola Bridge, underneath the Tedola Bridge, and came up towards the express, people were stopped again. And I found out why are they stopping? They said that maybe there's traffic in the estate. I said, no, this looks like we were being stopped. We moved forward, we saw another man. This one was holding a big stick, and his gun was behind him in a t-shirt and camera. One person. And we were orderly. I now see this. So if you can behave normally when you see a superior force, what then stops you from behaving normally when there is nobody there? Which is the perfect example of why Nigerians travel abroad and they're well behaved. And they don't break laws in most cases.
No.
Why? Because the institutions, the process works.
There.
May I also add albeit funnily, you saw a soldier
One.
with
With his
an
gun.
AK-47, okay, and
And the cane.
so symbol of
He was just
authority.
using the cane. He was just using the cane to just pass. You go.
Go.
And
I
then go.
dare say positively, with his head properly screwed in there,
Yes.
and people obeyed. Have you seen situations where you get mentally challenged, a deranged person, stay and begins to
That's
direct
like it.
attention to sane people? And people tend to obey. I've seen it so many times. Say, there was one, rather than the gun you saw, he held a stone. I couldn't understand it. He held a stone. And then people now say, Oga, stop. If you don't stop,
I will stone your car, stone your vehicle.
and everybody down there stop. So what that says, we can turn it into a positive force, and that is where character comes in. That is where character in leadership comes in. Leadership has to be bold. Leadership has to be seen as an example. That soldier you saw yesterday might as well have taken his gun or whatever it is and begin to extort people. Might as well, we've seen it happen, just because he wanted to pass his own whatever, make life a little bit unbearable for people around here, and once his vehicle coming, he jumps into his vehicle and then goes, and then the bedlam then continue. That is the story. That is the kind of story of Nigeria. So we need volunteers. Those are the kind of people. I love what you have said, and I hope what you have said is being listened to. Those are the kind of people this country should be giving awards. Those are the kind of people that government, local government should now then say, hey, this is exactly what you've done. You saw during the EndSARS protesting,
Yes.
when the police were going to do certain things, and then some soldiers came. Here in Lagos and Abuja, they wanted to go
Even the
and
ones in Osho.
they wanted to the NYC camp. I said, to stop. Communication. We need a lot of this. Even look at Tessie, the way she's looking at me, only God knows what is in her mind.
I want to say something.
I might
You can
as well,
remember that guy at the
I might
during
be
the
saying,
COVID-19
No,
pandemic.
I even want to. I want to
I might be saying something that she doesn't like. It's normal.
No, I even like
No.
what you're saying.
But then she cannot then say, Mr. Fatuko, why are you saying this? I must not take an
No,
offense.
that is right.
I will now.
What you're even saying is correct.
I will not then say, Tessie, this is my reasons for saying for doing
There
what you
is
are doing.
communication.
And you can. But Mr. Fatuko, you are saying this, but I see you doing something different. What moral right, what ethical right do you have to now be saying what you are saying? Wait a minute, she's watching me, so I better begin to do it right so that I can meet
Mr.
out the
Fatuke,
truth.
I even want us to address the issue from another perspective again. These drivers, what is wrong with them? Are they not adults? Must someone control us before we behave normal?
I say I was shocked.
Must someone
5
control us
minutes.
before we behave normal?
Traffic was like,
Tessie,
You know what someone told me?
wrong?
I said in the state, United States of America, when Joe Biden won the state, they said what they did was to be honing. They were pressing their horns everywhere, and I was like, "What's so special in pressing on?" And someone told me it's very, very special in abroad. You don't use your horn anyhow. It's in this part of the world that every little thing, boom.
the reason why that happens in the US
You
and
understand?
elsewhere, the drivers in the US are like the drivers in Nigeria. The only difference is that if you do it
the
out
laws.
there, the laws are
Will
out
catch
there. They can capture you. In Nigeria, who do you really want to capture? You don't even have a footprint. How many of your Okada people that do we know? Are they registered? Well,
But Mr. Fatuke, can't we behave normal? They are adults.
They are-
As long as you're on the street driving a car, cruising anything, that means you are an adult.
Tessie, I told you that the average human being, whether you are adult, you are a child, or whatever it is,
Selfish in
you are
nature.
selfish.
Yeah, that's
to
just
move.
it.
So she wants to move. You two want to move. But when we get into situations where we know it is aberrant behavior, for me to be on the queue, and somebody else just comes and say, hey, no, it is not done. If people now begin to see that happen, as I understood happened to a lady who stood her ground and told a supposedly big man, please, you need to take the queue. And the big man was making a lot of noise. You know what the other people on the queue did? unlike what used to happen. They asked the lady to please hang on. They took the fight, gently and politely went to the man. You can't do this. It is not done. And out of shame, he went back and took his seat. So if more and more of us
I
do
did it
what
yesterday,
is
Mr. Vantuke. Kayode is a witness. Kayode, thank God Kayode is still the one behind the camera this morning. So an interesting thing also happened after we left all of this orderliness. And then I was about to drive into my area. And then one man, because there was traffic that had spilled in from Berger, one man decided to go through the one way. So he was passing through one way, about to block even the incoming that were going to veer off the road. When I drove towards him, he was driving a Sienna. When I drove towards him, I parked in front of him. I put my car in park and I waited. The people behind me started on him. I didn't move. I had enough room to move, but I blocked him. When you're driving like that haphazardly, and I try to measure the kind of common sense, they say common sense is not common most times anyway. I try to measure, and these are people you expect to behave normal.
and yet they behave very abnormal. I have to thank you for what you have said. Fela has made it point that we all are afraid to stand up for our rights, to do the right thing. I experienced one, and you'll be shocked. And perhaps our listeners will be able to
relate.
They've seen it. People were on their lane. A Danfo and some other cars were now taking one lane. So there was a block, exactly. The Danfo guy now came out. I wept in my heart. He came out. I was telling the other guy that can't you see sense? Can't you see whatever? On that guy's right. The guy was just looking at him. Now, if one man was mad, I expected the others not to be as mad. And they were all honking. We're using foul language. Get out of the road. You should have just moved this way. In other words, might and what is wrong is becoming the normal. I go back that what you have just said on television today should not just be something you should just say on television. Well, I know you've said it on television, and I'm sure people are listening. And I hope eventually, whoever, I don't know where that person is going to come from, will reward you for what you have done. Because it took some risk in doing what you decide to do right. And hopefully, the other people are not as mad. But where you have mad people, I have stayed at a red light. And people are saying, what's wrong with you? Get out of the place. I will break your glass and stuff like that. I stood my ground. Well, after the whole thing, now, let me now tell you the irony of the whole thing. It's been a long time I took that place. The red light was just on. Get out.
Instead of not functioning.
Instead of to tell me the thing is not functioning. So after I stayed about 10-15 minutes, after I've been abused, black and blue.
Don't let me laugh out loud, please.
After I've been abused, black and blue, it now came to me. Somebody was just watching. Oga, this light is not working. Oh, I see. That is a failure of the system. Why should the light not work? Back to what I said. The reason why things work out there is because the systems, the processes,
the institutions.
The systems will work for 1 day or 2 days.
Well-established institutions are like
breaks down.
Mr. Patrick, my mom used to tell me a story. That's my question. What happened to those days that when you put my mom would say, she used to tell me a story that while she was very little, that then if you are selling something, you don't need to be there. people will come, get what they want to get.
Put your money underneath.
Put your money underneath and then leave. What happened to those days?
The trust deficit.
What happened to those elders? Are they all gone?
Yes.
Those elders, those people in those days, are they all gone?
They didn't pass integrity and sure. They didn't pass integrity and truth down to the next generation.
Look at the example of values that you've given. That was when values was respected. That was when your mom from nowhere could be something.
Coming.
But situations that we now have is that it's now been torpedoed by students who are not ready to pass exams, goes to see lecturers, and vice versa. We have situations, convicted felons, after they've done all the negative things within their area of jurisdiction, are rewarded by being appointed, and we all see it. And now the ones that will now be superintending over us. So the system has collapsed. National orientation has just gone to blazes. I like your example. And I know one or two people in the village perhaps still wants to do.
They still do the same thing.
But how is it that these people are being captured and being brought to the limelight? You can imagine somebody doing that in a village and is discovered at that local government of that village, one of the 774 local government, and is brought out. I loved doing that when I was in Mobile. I tell my managing director and I say, yes, I think I've seen a very good behavior, sir. And I couldn't believe this is a behavior that I could have seen elsewhere. I'd like you to do something for me, sir. I want to call this person in, invite this person into our office. Just a handshake. Am I Chief Samurai will look at it and say, okay, all right, you sure? Okay. I brought 2 or 3 people who never in their whole life believed that they were going to stand in front of a even enter, not to talk of standing in front of a managing director. And then they shook their hands, took their picture, they went to took with our phones, and then showed it to their children. That will last forever. This is where we expect governance to be. This is where we begin to reward those things that you just mentioned. That is the time that our students who are doing well, look at that lady in Plateau State now. I hope she will not end up like the guy at Unilag. This is the time other state governors should now say, a woman can do this, NGOs, you can do this. Invite her, encourage her. Well, she has a scholarship now, but at least encourage her. But because we don't encourage good behavior, and bad behavior is the reason why we are where we are.
We need to take a quick break. When we return, of course, Tessie is talking about Okada and the policemen in Lagos. We'll be back after this break.
All right, welcome back. And still your show, The Bumper Breakfast. And Thomason just sticks out now, but she's going to be back tomorrow. Yes, I just need to do this with Mr. Fatoke. I still have Mr. Fatoke here this morning with me. All right, Mr. Fatoke, there's this paper that made headlines in the Tribune newspaper this morning. There's a story, rather, that made headlines on the Tribune newspaper this morning. And it said again, that again got me wondering. So that means this is not the first time. So it says, again, Okada riders attack policemen in Lagos. And this is the story. There was pandemonium on Wednesday morning around Ikeja axis on the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway when agri-commercial motorcyclists again clashed with operatives of the Lagos State Task Force on Environment. Spokesperson of the task force, Taufik Adebayo, confirmed the incident to the Nigerian Tribune, just as it stated that operatives of the agency quickly restored normalcy to the area. It said it is true that our men were attacked today, which is yesterday, Wednesday in Ikeja, but we have been able to restore normalcy to the area. Policemen from the agency were in the area in two patrol vans to enforce the ban on motorcycle movement on the expressway when they were resisted by the riders. The clash was the second in 2 days, as the Okada riders had on Tuesday chased the policemen away from the same area during an attempt to impound motorcycles. Wednesday's clash created gridlock along the road, which then spread to the older parts of Ikeja, Ogba and Agege. An eyewitness who identified himself as Really said the clash actually started Tuesday, but it was not that serious as the policemen left quickly. Today again, which was yesterday, Wednesday, they came into patrol vans and were impounding motorcycles when the Okada riders mobilized and confronted them. The Okada riders were joined by some drivers and hoodlums who pelted the policemen with broken bottles and stones. After the policemen were chased away, the Okada riders blocked the expressway with their motorcycle, the result said.
Tessie. Again. I'd like to tell you that again, there are indications that what you have just read out is playing itself out. Another again. Today. Before the Tuesday, Wednesday that you mentioned, we had something similar, on the expressway.
The same Ikeja axis?
No, not Ikeja this time.
Okay.
Towards Rainbow, they call it Rainbow, or the
Rainbow,
Express.
on the Express.
On the Express, and stuff like that. And what is this saying? There is a word I'm going to use here. It's called autarky. A-U-T-A-R-K-Y. A state that becomes governless because people now see might as right, where life will become very narrow, very short, very British, and very nasty. Modern world and Nigeria up to this stage have signed in to the rule of law and order. Situations where some people will now gather themselves and say, no, you cannot do enforcement. It's a situation where we are reaping whirlwind when we sowed the wind. We are reaping whirlwind where we sowed the wind. Because I happen to know that at one point in time, just looking at Lagos, if you look at the whole of the country, you can talk from now till tomorrow. But look at Lagos, a particular governor came and was going to start the regulation of the Okada drivers. Not long after he left, I'm actually talking about Fashola. Not long after he left, the administration that came after him, Ambode, just left everything all just like that. I will tell you my own understanding of why that happened.
Okay.
And on a daily basis, Okadas, brand new Okadas, Tokumbo Okadas, arrive Lagos in droves. I used to walk in the Apapa axis, and under the bridge in Ijora, you needed to go there sometimes as the image and public maker of my company. I needed to know what happens around the perimeter. When I go in there, what I see a colony of people that I cannot understand where are they coming from. How did they coming here? Now there is the Hausa community. I had to befriend them. That look, what is really going on here? Then they told me that these people, they come late in the night under the cover because they want a new life. I know the security forces at that time and intelligence discovered that, and they were going to start to recall them. Now, Governor Fashola then tried to do one or two things, which we all can relate to. Somehow backfired. No, you can't deport certain people, you can't do this, you can't do that, and all that. Okay, all right. It's a federation. But can we begin to regulate this? That lax that came after Fashola is what we are reaping today. I have it on good authority. I don't know if it is true. The story you read just now, and that is the aspect that should worry you, Tessie, or worry me, worry all Nigerians. It's one thing for you to have read what you read, and then the police will say yes, we've taken. But I read somewhere else that the Okada Riders Association have dissociated themselves from that action,
From that action. Okay.
which means, and it still happened, hoodlums, third forces, fourth forces, fifth forces have infiltrated. In other words, you could have your union. Our union say you must obey the rules and stuff like that. Another set of people will not then come, wearing your cloth, wearing your color, parading that they are genuine people, and they are hoodlums. It happens during the NSAS. Nigeria, and I dare say Lagos State, is becoming governless.
I'm telling you.
Is becoming
If Okada people can stand up against the uniform men,
is becoming impossible. And you know, like the old saying says, a stitch in time saves nine.
Yeah.
I go back to October 20, I go back to October 21 of this year 2020.
2020.
When the NSAS were on, and we saw the beautiful things those young guys were doing, albeit some of the elders tried to caution and say, hey, hold your peace,
Hold
elder.
your peace, yeah.
Hold your peace.
We are for peace as well.
Because we said, you must know when to stop certain things. You must know when you say you don't have leaders because you don't have trust, but you still have to have leaders. It's like saying you don't have a head and you believe that your trunk and the rest of your body should now be working. It's not going to work. There are risks available to do checks and balances. If you could come with so much compassion, with so much capacity, with so much competence, and with so much character, in 2 weeks, are you able to do what you needed? You can apply same to do checks and balances to get your leaders. Because when President Muhammad Buhari said, I have heard you. When Oshibanjo said, I've heard you. When Governor Sanwo-Olu took a Magna Charta to the president and said, we've heard you, we should all know that stretching it beyond there and saying people who reside in certain places should not go. In fact, when we say, please allow a right of way and stuff like that, say, no, you cannot, you don't want to get inconvenient and all that kind of stuff. The old must listen to the young must also listen to the old, so that we can get all these things all together. We spoke. I wish Mr. President had spoken. Yes, the minders have said Mr. President can delegate, and Mr. President still delegates a lot. And some people look at it and say they look at the president's body language and what have you, and people just do different things in different ways. Yes, there might be a challenge for Mr. President. Okay, but that's not to say that he should not have spoken. Just one word. Yes, Sanwo-Olu brought this from Lagos. You in Abuja, you priming yourself, I have heard you loud and clear. I have children like you. I send them to school. I'm quite proud that you raise certain things. Ignorance of it is no excuse for me. I accept and apologize on that. But we are now going to be doing things. Please go back. If I do not do what I say I'm going to do, because I'm going to get you involved in the process of the implementation,
Well, Mr. Fatoke,
then we can
ever
go back to our status quo ante.
our status
But
quo.
because he didn't say that, what we are now seeing will now be a fallout of so many other things that will now be happening.
That's
So
it.
medical doctors can decide that they are going to go on strike,
Yeah.
and then we can say one or two things, and then it's okay, look, let's all go back. Then we see another set of people that come there. We are medical doctors. If we see you in the hospital and it's going to be, bloodletting, the accountants will do the same, the engineers will do the same. We are becoming lawless because we have not shown that example. We have really not communicated and communicated. Having said that, I also think that there is a hop, step, and jump in whatever it is that we are going to be doing here. I know nerves are frayed. Now, the hoodlums have tasted blood. They've seen the strength in numbers. They can overwhelm police. They can overwhelm every other person. Is that it? Let's all get ourselves together. After all, they are not going to fire us, or they are not going to, or they are going to begin to do the wrong things. Let's go to their unions. Let's communicate with their unions.
Well, you just said the union disassociated themselves from this fight.
That notwithstanding, let's disassociate. Okay, when they but go to them. Let them make a statement that this is not acceptable. Whoever is doing this in a wrong way. Okay, right. That is the first stage. Second stage will now be the fact that we can then decide to stagger. Yes, we may be doing the right thing in trying to enforce. We may, somebody is going to ask me when is the right time. We may be doing it at the wrong time. I think we need more and more of these engagements now. When we have tried all these engagements, and all these engagements are likely to fail, or security report has indicated that some people have infiltrated Lagos and they are out to wreak maximum damage, there's also a response to it. Yeah. Cannon folders, water folders, not live bullets, and all that can still come. Tear gas can come into being deployed for us to get accessibilities back. But rule of law, order, process, we have no choice but to make sure that we comply with them fully. My apologies, I've taken this so long, but my apologies and my sympathies to those police officers. They are gallant.
For Mr. Fatika.
They are doing what they need to do. They have our backing. They've quietly tried to go. I was listening to that clip that was played. I was hearing some gunshots. I heard allegedly that arms and ammunition that have been seized from police stations that have been, burnt down are in the hands of non-state actors.
But can we get it right again? These policemen, can they get their morale back? Can they get their confidence back? If normally before the hashtag EndSARS protest, when these bikemen, when they see these police people, they run. But now, they now have the guts to stay in front of them and fight back and protect. There's a picture here on the Nation newspaper that shows the fire set on Belter Lane by commercial motorcyclists at Ikeja along bus stop on Agege Motor Road, Lagos yesterday. These policemen, can they get their morale back? Can they get it back? Can they get their confidence back?
It's a good question you've asked. And the way you are facing me and asking me that question is like, no, serious. It's like a family, serious. It's like a family discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a problem, and we must look at it as a family. There's a problem in the house, maybe the child, maybe our neighbor, and you have come to me to say, can we get our acts right again? We must dialogue. We must begin to show example. Now, the real problem is the fact that the police architecture itself, through the SARS, especially in the southern part of Nigeria, have done incalculable damage. They've gotten it wrong. They've been wicked. They have not done it right. The first thing to do with all the investigations that are going is to isolate them. Yes, I heard that they say they don't do, I think the Minister of Justice, Attorney General, said they don't have enough evidence to prosecute some people and all that kind of stuff. So not just end there. We've seen layback prosecution. It has to be thorough. Real examples have to be made of people that have done the wrong thing. Point number one. Point number two is that immediately presidency, National Assembly, governors, state houses of assembly, local governments must all now then say, yes, all these monies that we take, we are prepared to shed a number of this, plus so many things that the state is now going to provide, that all policemen that have been killed recently during the hoodlums, their families are not only visited, their children are given scholarship. What I learned is that if not for the NSA protests, some of these policemen that died, they would have just gone to the ramshackle barracks that they stay and have just thrown the poor woman and the poor children out. So, the Inspector General of Police, Police Service Commission, NGOs, we must identify them, we must list them, and we must say, sorry, this has happened to you. Yeah, in the course of whatever it is, you've taken the brunt of the wrong people that we are now punishing. All those who are dead, we must compensate those families. We must put a proper and legitimate insurance in place. If what we've been doing is lip service, must be done like yesterday. Their uniforms have to be given to them, or we give them enough money and say, this is for your uniform. Never again are we going to be asking you not to, to be using your money to go and be buying uniforms. That is third thing. Fourth, their salaries must be paid. In fact, a special emergency to look at the plight of policemen. That is just the short term. The longer, the mid-term would now then be to rebuild those institutions. Yeah. Okay. The fourth one will now then be to now look at the proper training of police, change their curricula, change their mindset, look for appropriate people to man the Police Services Commission. You need not necessarily be a policeman. There are people who have done it in private sector. I always go back to private sector because I see exactly the state of flux that we have in Nigeria today replicate itself at different times in the private sector. And we've seen men and women of capacity and competence who have been given that. Go out there and go and resolve them. What do you need? Okay, we don't have the resources. Can we stagger it over time? Can we begin to look at the training? Can we begin to look at how to give the dignity to that uniform? Can we begin to look at how we we employ people into the force? Can we begin to now look at people, the young people that went on NSAS? They will give you a charter of how to do it. If you are dead of ideas, our young people will give it to us. In the British system, at one point in time, I think it was Tony Blair or was it Margaret Thatcher, said, went to the New York, said, look, can you give me a man who will be able to come and help me reform the police? Obasanjo did something similar to our economy by going to bring Okunjo-Iweala and say, come and help us to restructure and manage the system. So absolutely no harm in going to say, yeah, we need help. This is not a time to do grandstanding and be using ego. When these things are done, are seen to be done, the young protesters did a compassion that beats everybody's imagination. The policemen were saying, they said, no. Give them food.
Yeah.
Give them, they were crying. Imagine that kind of psychology that the government itself is not doing at local level. It's not just a matter of just throwing money around. Deep thinking, deep process, code of ethics to ensure that we now begin to now recruit, retain, and energize great people to come into the force. Nobody's going to come and do it for us. We know how to do it. We are selfish in our approach to it. We are self-centered in the way we are approaching it. But we take it by steps and steps, and then tell our youngsters, yeah, it's going to be a marathon. But in that marathon, I've started the race. I was in Yaba. I've now moved a little towards Tejosho. 2 or 3 days time, I'm going to move to Oju Elegba Junction. Further down the line, I'll be at the stadium on so and so date and so time, and this is what I'll be using. And it's seen, manifestly seen, will have done a lot. But situations where you say, yes, the SARS people have been sacked, and then you bring another one, and then you showed us picture of people that are shooting, whatever it is, it's like.
But I believe that the Okada people rebelling against the policemen, they are rebelling against the Lagos State government. That is what I strongly believe. Because be it anyhow it may be, if 1 or 2 of them are caught, I know most of them might not be Lagosians. You don't come into other people's states to start destroying their state. What they are doing is destruction.
That's why I told you.
It's destruction.
The wind we sowed, we are reaping the whirlwind now. And we can reverse that by just turning the page and doing it with all true intention and with all true trust. We are going to get there.
All right, Mr. Fatoke, we have to go. Well, what do you have to tell the people before we leave?
Yes, I'd like to say to all and sundry, Nigeria is the only country that we have, and whether we restructure, whether we go at different paths, or whether we stay within, even within our families, the rule of law must be obeyed. And if there is any process that we disagree with, if there is any law that we disagree with, the place to go is your representatives at the National Assembly to change the rule or to change the law. But we must obey the law. Governor Sanwo-Olu, clear message.
All right.
Please, this is the time for you to now get up and actually act as a leader.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fatoke. This is how we close today. Remember, COVID-19 is really still out there. Wherever you go into, please protect yourself. Ensure you wear your nose mask, you're with your hand sanitizer, and make sure you wash your hands and be good to yourself. Life is beautiful, you know. Join Tommy again on the Bumper Breakfast tomorrow on Friday. That is how she does her things every Monday to Friday. I am Teresa Adeyemi. Till I come your way again, it's a bye-bye.